The final season of Stranger Things wasn't just another chapter, it was an excavation. One Last Adventure, the making of Stranger Things 5, reveals a production not merely building sets, but carefully dismantling its own legacy, brick by emotional brick. This documentary, often quiet and observational, functions as an archaeological dig into the show's soul. We witness the creation of the finale not as a victory lap, but as a solemn, meticulous process of closure for a cast and crew who grew up within the world of Hawkins. Early footage shows the Duffer Brothers in a state of contemplative exhaustion. They speak not of grand spectacle, but of emotional math. The precise calibration required to service 8 years of character investment. The script for the final episode, we learn, underwent 17 major revisions, not due to plot holes, but to achieve the correct tonal balance between hope and irrevocable loss. A key revelation is the production's deliberate return to practical effects. The documentary lingers on the construction of the Cosmic Quarry, a massive otherworldly set built in a Georgia warehouse. It wasn't a green screen void, but a tangible sloping landscape of jagged rock and pulsating organic matter, requiring actors to physically navigate its treacherous terrain. This physicality extended to the creatures. The documentary shows the painstaking application of prosthetics for the season's new entity, codenamed the Echo. The design philosophy, explained by creature designer Barry Gower, moved away from pure body horror. Instead, the Echo was meant to feel like a corrupted memory, a visual manifestation of the show's central theme, the past refusing to stay buried. Cinematographer Tim 5's discusses the deliberate visual language of Season 5. The signature neon and lens flares of earlier seasons are subdued, replaced by a cooler, more desaturated palette as the threat becomes more existential. The documentary contrasts storyboards with final shots, highlighting a conscious shift from Spielbergian wonder towards a more Malick-like elegiac quality in the natural light of the Hawkins woods. The documentary's most intimate moments come from the cast. Millie Bobby Brown is seen in a rare, unguarded moment between takes, staring at the empty shell of the Byers' living room. She reflects not on Eleven's powers but on the weight of saying goodbye to a character who defined her adolescence. The camera holds on these silences, emphasizing that the making of is fundamentally a story about endings in real time. Thematically, One Last Adventure posits that Stranger Things 5 is about the characters, and by extension the audience, outgrowing their need for the adventure. Analysis within the documentary points to a crucial narrative shift. The monsters are no longer invading from the upside down. The characters are choosing to walk into it for a final confrontation. This transforms the season from a defense of childhood into an active, painful step into adulthood. Production trivia underscores this theme. The documentary reveals that the iconic Scoops Ahoy set was meticulously recreated, not for a flashback, but for a pivotal scene where Steve Harrington confronts his own arrested development. The set, a relic of a simpler time in the narrative, becomes a prison of nostalgia he must literally break out of. Sound design takes a forefront role. The documentary isolates the work of sound editors who built the season's audio landscape from found sound, recorded in the 1980s, dial-up modems, specific car engines, the hum of old television sets. This wasn't just aesthetic, it was about crafting a sonic memory palace, making the final battle feel like an assault on the show's own auditory identity. A profound section details the writing of the series' final moments. The Duffers and writer's room are shown debating not plot points, but the nature of hope. Should the ending be clean, or should it carry a scar? The documentary shows the original, more ambiguous ending being workshopped into the slightly more definitive, yet melancholic version that aired, a compromise between fairy tale and reality. The score by Kyle Dixon and Michael Stein evolved in parallel. The documentary features them composing the final theme, Departure from Hawkins. They describe moving away from pure synthwave toward incorporating classical string elements, symbolizing the characters leaving the synthesized safety of their youth for the complex, orchestrated reality of the future. Perhaps the most insightful analysis comes from the editing bay. The documentary shows the brutal process of cutting beloved scenes. Not for time, but for pacing the grief. One excised subplot involved Hopper returning to the ruins of the lab, a scene deemed too elegiac too early. This highlights the season's central challenge: managing the audience's emotional descent. The conclusion of One Last Adventure doesn't celebrate a job well done. Instead, it sits with the emptiness after creation. The final shot of the documentary isn't of a wrap party, but of a lone crew member powering down the main lighting grid on the Hawkins set, plunging the soundstage into darkness, a perfect visual metaphor. This making of documentary ultimately argues that Stranger Things 5 succeeded not by being the biggest season, but by being the most intentional. Every practical effect, every desaturated frame, every note of the score was in service of a single idea: that some adventures must end so the adventurers can become something new. The legacy of Stranger Things, as framed by this intimate behind-the-scenes look, may not be its monsters or its mysteries, but its rare, honest portrayal of having to let go of the very thing that defined you. The final adventure, it seems, was always about learning how to close the portal yourself. Thank you for watching until the end. We pour our passion into every single video essay, exploring the stories behind the movies we all love. If you stumbled upon this video by chance, there is a very high probability you might never see our channel again in your feed. So please take a moment to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and ring the bell. We are actively growing this community of cinema lovers, and your support is what helps us make our content better and more insightful every single day. Let's explore the magic of filmmaking together. See you in the next one.